Hey there, history enthusiasts. Get ready to uncover the chilling secrets of the Old West that will send shivers down your spine. In today's video, we're diving into the bizarre and unsettling practices that were considered normal during that wild era. From eerie mourning photographs to jaw-dropping dental treatments, you won't believe what people used to do. So, buckle up as we take a spine-tingling journey into the creepiest aspects of the Old West. Let's get started. Number 1. Mourning photography. Step back into the haunting past of the Old West, where a peculiar and unsettling practice known as mourning photography thrived. In an era when death was an ever-present part of life, capturing the essence of the departed took on a macabre twist. Families would commission photographers to immortalize their deceased loved ones in a final portrait, a practice that continues to evoke a mix of fascination and discomfort. Imagine the scene: a somber room, a carefully arranged backdrop, and a lifeless body positioned to appear as if in peaceful repose. Loved ones, dressed in their finest attire, would gather around the deceased, forming a somber tableau frozen in time. The photographer's lens would capture this eerie composition, preserving a visual record of grief and loss. These haunting photographs served multiple purposes. On one hand, they acted as mementos, allowing families to hold on to a tangible reminder of their loved ones. In an age when death was often a swift and unpredictable visitor, these portraits provided a lasting connection. On the other hand, they also played a role in the mourning process itself. By participating in the creation of these images, families could navigate their grief and create a visual representation of their sorrow. The poses in mourning photographs could range from serene to disconcertingly lifelike. Some subjects were positioned as if in peaceful slumber, while others were staged in scenes that mirrored life, reading a book, playing an instrument, or even holding a cherished possession. This artifice aimed to capture the essence of the deceased as they were in life, frozen in an unsettling moment between the mortal and the immortal. While it might be difficult for us to fathom today, this practice emerged from a different perspective on death and commemoration. In a time when death was an integral part of daily existence, capturing the deceased in a photograph offered a sense of permanence and a way to acknowledge the fleeting nature of life itself. In our modern age, where death is often hidden from view and sanitized, the concept of mourning photography remains a poignant and eerie reminder of a different era. It forces us to confront our own attitudes toward death and remembrance, inviting us to question the ways we navigate grief and commemorate those who have passed on. Number 2. Dental extractions without anesthesia. Before modern dentistry, toothaches were a common nightmare. Dental treatments in the Old West were far from what we're accustomed to today. Extractions, often done without anesthesia, were a painful and creepy reality. A pair of pliers, a steady hand, and sheer determination were the tools of the trade for frontier dentists. In the era of the Old West, dental care was rudimentary at best, and toothaches were a torment that many had to endure. Unlike today's sterile and well-equipped dental offices, the dental procedures of that time were marked by their crude nature and lack of pain relief. Imagine sitting in a makeshift dental chair, gripping the arms in anticipation of the excruciating pain to come. The dentist, often a local general practitioner rather than a specialized dentist, would wield a pair of pliers as the instrument of extraction. The absence of anesthesia meant that the patient was fully conscious, left to bear the agony as the dentist worked to remove the offending tooth. The sound of the pliers clamping onto the tooth, the grunts of effort from both the patient and the dentist, and the bone-chilling sensation of the tooth being pulled from its socket. All of these elements combined to create an experience that was nothing short of terrifying. The dentist's steady hand was not only necessary for extracting the tooth, but also for preventing any further damage to the surrounding gums and teeth. Sheer determination was the driving force behind both the dentist and the patient. The former had to be resolute in the face of the gruesome task at hand, while the latter had to summon every ounce of strength to endure the unbearable pain. It's a haunting reminder of the challenges people faced in the pursuit of dental relief during those times. As we reflect on the history of dental care in the Old West, we're reminded of the incredible progress that has been made in the field of dentistry. Modern techniques, advanced tools, and the availability of anesthesia have transformed dental procedures into significantly more comfortable and humane experiences. The stark contrast between then and now serves as a testament to the advancements that have improved our quality of life in ways we often take for granted. Number 3. Medicine shows and quackery. Healthcare in the Old West had its share of quackery and bizarre treatments. Medicine shows, complete with flamboyant salesmen peddling miracle cures, were a staple of the time. From questionable elixirs to bizarre contraptions, people would often invest their hopes and money in remedies that ranged from ineffective to downright dangerous. During the Old West era, seeking medical treatment could lead people down a perilous path of questionable remedies and unscrupulous practices. Enter the world of medicine shows, traveling performances that combined entertainment with promises of miraculous health solutions. These shows were an ingenious mix of theatrics and marketing, capturing the attention of townsfolk in need of medical attention. The flamboyant salesmen, often called snake oil salesmen, were masters of persuasion. With captivating speeches, they would tout elixirs and tonics as panaceas for a wide range of ailments. These elixirs, sometimes containing little more than alcohol and sweeteners, were advertised as cure-alls capable of healing everything from common colds to more serious conditions. One of the most unsettling aspects of these medicine shows was the audacity with which false claims were made. Spectators were often swayed by the persuasive performances, leading them to invest their hard-earned money and hopes into remedies that had little to no scientific basis. The lack of regulatory oversight allowed these shows to thrive, preying on the vulnerability of those seeking relief. The remedies themselves ranged from mildly ineffective to outright dangerous. Bottles labeled as containing exotic ingredients like rattlesnake oil or Indian herbs were often a mix of alcohol, water, and perhaps a hint of herbal essence. The placebo effect may have offered temporary relief, but genuine healing was rarely achieved through these concoctions. Bizarre contraptions were another facet of this quackery. Devices like electric belts that promised to cure everything from fatigue to impotence were peddled to the gullible masses. The lack of scientific understanding and the absence of proper medical education allowed such devices to flourish, contributing to the perpetuation of false hope and deception. While it's easy to dismiss these practices as relics of the past, they serve as a cautionary tale about the importance of evidence-based medicine and the dangers of unregulated health products. The era of medicine shows highlights the human tendency to seek quick fixes and miracle cures, even when the promises are too good to be true. Number 4. Public executions and hangings. Justice in the Old West sometimes took a chilling turn with public executions and hangings. Townspeople would gather to witness these events, often treated as a form of morbid entertainment. The gallows became a grim symbol of frontier justice, leaving an unsettling mark on the history of the era. In the era of the Old West, the pursuit of justice was sometimes characterized by an eerie spectacle: public executions and hangings. This practice sheds light on the complex and often brutal nature of law enforcement during that time. Public executions were events that brought together the townspeople to witness the enforcement of justice. These grim spectacles often took place in a central location, transforming into a form of morbid entertainment that attracted curious onlookers. The gallows, where the hangings occurred, became a somber symbol of frontier justice, casting a shadow over the towns and settlements of the Old West. The rationale behind public executions was multifaceted. While they aimed to deter crime and showcase the consequences of unlawful actions, they also held a certain macabre fascination for the populace. The atmosphere surrounding these events could be surreal, with an eerie combination of solemnity and voyeuristic curiosity. People from all walks of life, including families with children, would gather to watch the grim spectacle unfold. The presence of public executions and hangings as a form of justice also highlighted the lack of a more systematic and standardized legal process. The swift and often brutal nature of frontier justice was a reflection of the challenges of law enforcement in the Old West. In many cases, justice was carried out hastily, without the intricate legal proceedings we are accustomed to today. The legacy of public executions and hangings in the Old West is a reminder of the harsh realities of that era. It's a reminder that while the tales of adventure and pioneering spirit may paint a romanticized picture, there was a dark underbelly to life on the frontier. The gallows serve as a symbol not only of punishment, but of the raw and untamed nature of the times. Number 5. Widows' weeds and mourning rituals. Grief had its own fashion statement in the Old West with the concept of widows' weeds. Widows would wear dark, somber clothing for an extended period as a visible symbol of their mourning. Mourning rituals were deeply ingrained in society, with specific periods of time allocated for grieving. These practices underscored the prominence of death in everyday life. During the Old West, the grieving process was intertwined with societal norms, resulting in the unique practice known as widow's weeds. This eerie yet culturally significant tradition marked the outward expression of a widow's mourning and her transition into a somber phase of life. When a woman lost her husband, she entered a period of mourning that was distinctly visible through her clothing choices. The term widow's weeds might evoke images of actual plants, but it referred to the dark, somber garments that widows would don. The choice of attire was deliberate and held symbolic meaning. The garments were typically black and devoid of any decorative elements, reflecting the solemnity of the mourning period. This visual representation served as a powerful reminder of the widow's loss and her altered status within the community. Widows would adhere to the custom of wearing widow's weeds for a predetermined duration, which could range from several months to years, depending on the society's norms and the widow's relationship with the deceased. During this time, the widow would abstain from participating in social events and celebrations, choosing to honor her late husband by withdrawing from the normal rhythms of life. Mourning rituals extended beyond clothing and encompassed various aspects of daily existence. Communities in the Old West had established practices that guided grieving individuals through the stages of bereavement. These rituals were often governed by strict codes of conduct, indicating the importance of death and the deceased in the fabric of society. Intriguingly, these mourning customs provided a visible and structured outlet for processing grief in a time when psychological support as we understand it today was limited. The act of wearing widow's weeds and observing mourning rituals allowed widows to publicly acknowledge their loss and find solidarity within their community. It also acted as a visual cue to others, fostering empathy and understanding. While widow's weeds and mourning rituals might appear unsettling to modern sensibilities, they were deeply ingrained in the cultural context of the Old West. These practices underscored the significance of death in everyday life and demonstrated how communities coped with loss by providing structured frameworks for mourning. In conclusion, the widow's weeds tradition and mourning rituals of the Old West offer a glimpse into a past where grief was outwardly expressed through clothing and behaviors. The somber attire and prescribed periods of mourning served as a unique channel for individuals to navigate the complex emotions of loss within the societal framework of the time. While seemingly eerie today, these practices reflected a deeper understanding of the role of grief and remembrance in the fabric of society during that era.